Motherhood is challenging and rewarding, and it's time we discuss the truth about motherhood, our own feelings and desires, why we mom shame, and how we can start standing together. Motherhood is a lifetime of different phases, all while we are expected to manage the weight of life. It's time for us moms to not only help each other by giving a hand, but push each other to explore ourselves on our deepest levels. Welcome to the Mom Still Standing podcast. I'm your mom friend and host, Danielle Lewis. Each week, we will chat with a beautiful mom who is navigating motherhood and life in a special way. My goal, moms, is for us to understand we are more alike than we are different and that we shouldn't mom alone. So join us as we celebrate and honor motherhood. Now go grab your favorite beverage and let's dive in. Hey, mom friends. I'm here with a solo episode today. No guest. I am your guest. So, on this episode, I'm coming to you to talk about navigating motherhood through a very difficult time in my life, which was my separation and divorce process. And so a few things came up for me recently. I had a cousin share with me last weekend some pictures of me and my father. My father is deceased. He's been deceased 1 year this August. So she had contacted me and asked me, could she share some pictures with me? And I said yes. And so I opened the pictures and it was a picture of me and my father, me and my sons, and then all of my father's siblings, so all my aunts and uncles. And while I was staring at the pictures, particularly the pictures of me and my sons, I immediately started thanking God for his faithfulness. I was so grateful just thinking back. I think in those pictures, my sons were like 13 and 10, I think. And I was just thinking back to how God had been faithful to us during the separation and divorce period. And I just was overjoyed to see the smiles on our faces. Just a flashback to just see the youthfulness of my sons just made me happy, and just to look at myself and just to see, just how good I looked in spite of what was really going on in my life during that time. And I can't take any credit for it. Like, it was definitely all God strengthening me and helping me to endure. But the reality is that raising my boys during my separation and divorce period was not an easy journey. It was less than perfect motherhood journey. I was separated in 2009, and in 2013, I was divorced. So 4-year separation process. And oh my gosh, it was hectic. It was emotional. It was a roller coaster ride. It was hard. It was all the things that you would expect when two people's lives have separated. It's all the things to expect when infidelity has ripped your marriage apart. All the things to expect when another child is involved. It was just difficult, and I think about how imperfect my motherhood journey was during that time. But I was so reassured as I looked at those pictures and reflected of how perfect and good God's love and grace are, and still are, and how his love and his grace and his mercy and his protection carried us and covered us through a very tumultuous transition. Not just for me, but also for my sons. For me, parenting through the transition of separation and divorce, it was like walking on pins and needles. And when you walk on pins and needles, or when you see them or even think about them, you're like, you like gasp, like, oh no. And so I was emotionally unstable at that time. I didn't realize it then, but looking back now, I know that I was emotionally unstable. Sometimes I'm just sitting and my thoughts go back to a specific time during that period. And I'm like, how in the world did I make it through that without losing my mind? How did I make it through it without being depressed constantly? How did I make it through it? Like, I know for sure that it was God holding on to me. And it was just so, like, on a daily basis, I was experiencing anger, sadness, like I felt hurt, I felt betrayed. Oftentimes I was in a fog and I felt alone a lot. Like I felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to. Like I could not get words out. Like I was so angry. For instance, like I remember at that time I had my own office and it had a door. And so I remember being in my office with my door closed, just spaced out, like just spaced out. It was definitely God's grace that carried me through. And I'm so, so grateful. And so those pictures helped me to reflect on that time and what it was really like to navigate motherhood through such a very difficult time. I just remember coasting through each day, like barely making it safely back into my garage each evening. My garage was my safe place, my hiding place. It was like, you ever been to the car wash and you got to put your car in neutral? You put your car in neutral and then there's these rollers that push your car forward. And then you get to just sit back and just be for a moment. That's how I felt like it was when I would hit my driveway. It was like the rollers were pushing me into the garage. I only had enough energy on most days to just hit the garage button and close it. And I just remember pulling into my garage often days and not even being able to get out of the car because of the weight of the emotional baggage that I carry was like so weighty. Like it weighed me down physically. Like the emotional stress was turning into physical weight. And that's why I say navigating motherhood with so much emotional baggage is difficult. It's so difficult. I often felt drained to the point of mere exhaustion. I often had nothing for my children. Like, think you work all day. In some cases, I was in my office in a fog, but still being at work all day, interacting with people, going through whatever you may be going through, like with your ex at the time throughout the day, managing your thoughts, managing or trying to manage your thoughts and your emotions throughout the day, and then picking up your children from school. Like oftentimes I would get off work. My children were very active in sports, so I usually had to pick them up or drop them off. You know, we ate out a lot. Like we were always eating out because when I got home, it was going to be late. I didn't have the strength to get in the kitchen to cook a meal. So it was like, I made sure that while we were out, we ate. This way, when I got home, I didn't have to do anything extra. Like I said, I could barely get out the car some days after pulling into my garage. So I often had nothing for my children. I was empty. And as we often say, we can't pour from an empty cup. But I didn't even know that saying back then. I didn't know that. I didn't have anyone speaking to me and telling me those things at that time. Like, I had nothing for my children. I was empty. Most evenings when we returned home, like I had no conversations, no hugs, no I love yous, no I'm proud of you, like nothing. Like some days I probably did, but a lot of times I didn't. I just didn't have it. Like I just remember often being irritated and irritable, just frustrated about the things that were going on. And a lot of times I was lashing out at them. I felt like I was a dragon. Like, you ever see those pictures and you see the dragon and he just spews whatever that is, fire out? Like, I felt like that was me a lot of times. And the thing is, it was never because of my children. It was never directed at them. It was just as a result of all that I was carrying, it came out. And so looking back, like I wish I could change my reactions on so many occasions. Like I'm still holding on to some of that. Like I still hold the guilt of feeling like I was the worst mom because of how I often reacted to them because I didn't have the emotional capacity to handle what I was handling. And I also didn't have the tools and the resources that I needed at that time. Like I had no safe space with other moms to vent and release my emotions. Like when I was talking to my girlfriends, it was like filled with anger. Like, you know, those conversations that you often have where you're just so angry at the other person. And so everything you say is negative with them. But I didn't have a safe place where I was comforted, where I felt comfortable to really say how I felt, or even just in a space where anyone just asked me how I was doing, how I was feeling, how I was managing, Did I need anything? I didn't have those circles. My mom was deceased at the time. My grandmother was deceased. I didn't have any family in North Carolina with me, so my aunts were far away. And so when I did talk to them, it was like I wasn't sharing on a deep level because probably for many different reasons, but I wasn't sharing on a deep level. So in my own personal space, right in my own city, I didn't have anyone that I felt like cared enough, showed they cared, and was really checking in on me. I didn't have that. And so to not be able to really share my emotions and to share my feelings at that time was not a good thing. I went to counseling with my children, but it was more so for my children to really express how this transition was affecting them and how they were feeling. And the times that I was in counseling, like sessions by myself, like I wasn't sharing deeply. I was just sharing on the surface. I was so angry. Like I didn't have any good things to say. Like I didn't even know how to express myself or allow myself to just feel what I was feeling. Like I felt like I needed permission. Someone to say like, it's okay that you're angry. It's okay that you feel the way you do. And I didn't have that. So unfortunately, at times, my children were often innocent victims of me lashing out at them because I was so frustrated. I was so hurt. I was so angry. And just so you get a picture, like, you don't think that, I was harming them or something, because I wasn't. But I would just be very snappy or irritated with them for like no reason. Or I would yell at them for small things. Sometimes I cursed when I was yelling, or, a lot of times it was just that I wasn't listening when they were talking because my own thoughts had consumed my mind. I was not present. Like physically I was there, but my mind was on the other side of town. You know what I'm saying? And so they didn't have me like they should have had me because I was checked out. I was consumed with the whole situation. So to this day, like I replay some of those experiences in my mind with my children. Like I just wish that they didn't happen. Like I feel very bad for not having control of my emotions and just for being emotionally unstable. I still struggle with this. And again, at that time, I didn't even realize that I was emotionally unstable. I didn't even know that was a thing. What I do know is I feel like I suppressed all of my emotions. Like I never had a safe place to express myself. I feel like the greatest emotion that I showed was anger. And it was often misplaced anger. And so my children will probably never know unless they listen to this podcast or start listening to my podcast episodes as I begin to share with you all the realities of my motherhood journey and even share some what I went through in my marriage. Like they will probably never know all that I carried. And they probably don't really need to know, but I hid a lot from them to cover and protect, the actions of, their dad, whom they so deeply love. And during that time, it was like they were not old enough to really accept or even handle the truth of what was really going on. So it really was like, it would have been inappropriate for me to say, your dad cheated on me with such and such and made a baby, So it was like, I carried all that, when I would be mad, it would usually be as a result of something he did or some new information that I had found out. And like I said, like at the time they were like 13 and 10. So they didn't need to know. So I just carried and I covered, now they are young adults. They're 21 and 18. And I'm just so pleased with how they are even navigating through their young adulthood. And honestly, I'm guilty because I know that at times they overheard some of my conversations on the phone saying this and saying that, or, really talking negatively about their dad. But I never like sat down with them and said, XYZ, da 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 da. I never did that. Whatever they heard was really, what they overheard from me having those conversations. And that came up in our counseling sessions. And so, God, it was so difficult because it was like when they started saying what they heard, like some of the things they heard, and basically when they started saying how what they heard made them feel, like that was crushing. It was so crushing to hear that from them, to get that feedback from them. And so it was even more difficult. So part of the reason why I would be in the car as well, because I could have conversations and they couldn't hear me. But basically, I just carried a lot. And I felt like I carried it all, and it was a heavy, heavy load. Like, have you ever seen those 18-foot trucks and they're flatbed and they'll be carrying like this large cement boulder, like they're about to build a building or a bridge or something. Like that boulder is probably like 50,000 tons. Like I felt like that's what I was carrying each and every day. And so honestly, like I still feel like I'm carrying some of that weight. Like 10 years later, like it's time to let it go. And yes, healing has come for the most part, but in the depths of my soul, there are still fragments of my motherhood journey that have been left untouched and untold. And so often I'm too ashamed to share some of what those experiences are, or even to share some of what I experienced in my marriage that I covered, and just beating myself up. Like, why did I cover that? And why didn't I advocate for myself? So I'm carrying all of that. And I often think, like, I owe my kids an apology, and I addressed this in counseling. As I started going to counseling by myself, I addressed it. And my counselor said, like, you did the best you could with what you knew how to do at the time. Like, you managed what you were faced with as best as you could with the knowledge you had at that time, based on the capacity that you could handle. And so with that in mind, it's like, how do I apologize in light of that? Like, how do I apologize when at the time I did my best? Like, I don't know, y'all. Like, sometimes I think, and I'm like, maybe I should just acknowledge that I was doing my best, which I have many a times, but I still feel stuck, feeling like my parenting sucked during that time. And I have admitted to my children, as I began to really dig deeper into my healing journey and really going to counseling and starting to focus on myself, like I admitted to them that I know that I wasn't the best mom at times, far from perfect. And so like the flip side is that at the same time, I know I need to be gracious to myself because I was far from being the worst mom on earth. You know what I'm saying? And I think as moms, we have to learn how to show ourselves grace. Like, we don't show ourselves enough grace. God knows that we're not perfect, and I have prayed. I've asked God for forgiveness. When you repent, you turn from your ways. So it's like, God knows my heart. But at the same time, I still feel bad. I feel awful sometimes. I know I did not say everything wrong. My boys were well cared for. They were fed. They were provided for. They were loved. They had most of what they wanted. And we've had some great experiences together. And so why on earth I'm focusing on the 10 things that I did wrong, I don't know. I created this podcast for moms to share how we are all navigating motherhood through challenging situations. And so for me, that's one of the things that I want us to understand as we are sharing as mothers, is that we're not going to do everything right and that we need to give ourselves grace. And this is the reason why we need each other and why we need to be in community with each other. But here I am, November 2019, and for some reason, I continue to replay and beat myself up for the handful of times in which I lost it. When I said the wrong thing because of my brokenness, when I said the wrong thing because my emotions were just scattered and I was all over the place. But at this point in time, I have come to the place in my life, especially now being an empty nester, that I truly want to forgive myself and I want to let it all go. 10 years I've been carrying, and probably more than that, because there were things that were happening prior to the separation that I was carrying, covering. So it's been a long time. I don't want to keep carrying this. I want to be done with it. I want to deal with it. And if that is you, at the end of this episode, I'm going to share some ways that we all can let it go. Let our parenting mistakes go. Let our flawed mothering go. Let it go. And like I said, my sons are 18 and 21 now. They are kind, they're respectful, they're caring, they're healthy. Like we have a good relationship. And so I say to myself, Danielle, it's time to let it go. It's time to release it. And it pains me, honestly, to even think about letting it go. You know, you're probably like, what? Why? Because I want to go back and be able to fix it. But that's impossible. See, when you're controlling, you want to go back and fix it. And I'm even working on that. I'm not nearly as controlling as I used to be, but I honestly just want to go back and fix it. And the fact that I can't go back and fix it, it pains me like, I can't fix this, you know? And so I know that I'm overthinking that part. You know, that's one of the things I'm working on as well, is to stop overthinking and just to be okay with what is. But letting go really right now for me means releasing what was and moving forward in peace. God knew my heart then. He's heard my cries. He's heard my prayers. And he has seen me change and evolve as a mom. And he is a restorer of those that diligently seek him. And so I have to rest in that. And for the most part, I have, but it's just this last part of letting go is like just difficult for me. And one of the scriptures that I really find comfort in is that he is close to the brokenhearted and he saves those who are crushed in spirit. And so I'm just so grateful for God's grace. I'm so grateful for God's grace. And so here I am in the last 2 months of 2019, struggling to let go of what was, struggling to let go of what I can't change in my previous parenting. When I think about it, like I'm not even that same woman. I'm not that same mom anymore. Like I don't even talk to my kids like that anymore. Like so much has changed because my heart has began to heal. Forgiveness has taken place. You know, God has done a work in me. I've done a work through counseling and self-reflection. I have really transformed because of God's healing my heart, because of the work that the word has done to renew my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to work the word, you know, but I know how necessary it is to release this so that I can set my soul free. And I want to be free from this. I don't want to carry it anymore. And so I want to ask you, what do you need to release before the end of this year? I just really want you to really think about that. Like be honest with yourself, sit with that. What is it that you need to release before the end of this year? And so that was just a very small part of my story. And in episodes to come, I am going to be releasing more of my story. I am going to allow myself to be transparent because what I do know is God gave me this podcast, the Mom Still podcast, and I am the mom that's still standing. And so in order for me to really connect with you all on a heart level, like it's great for me to bring all moms and for them to share their motherhood journey, but I need to be heard. My story needs to be told. And what better person to tell it than me? And so stay tuned because I will be sharing more of my motherhood journey, you know, my flaws, my mistakes, but also just sharing how God has really just done a work in me and what that looks like and how I did the work. I want to share that with you all to let you know that it's possible. And so wrapping up, I have 5 things that I want to share with you because moms, we are about to end 2019, getting ready to go into 2020, and we cannot continue to carry the same old baggage, the same hurts, the same pains, the same bad habits, the same patterns that are not serving us. We can't continue to carry that week by week, month by month, and year by year. I can't keep doing it. And I don't want you to do it either. I want you to be free. Like I'm trying to get free in my soul. I want you to be free. I want you to be free in your mind too. So listen up. Here are my 5 tips on how we can let it go. So number 1, stop holding on to what you can't change. You can't keep focusing on what you did not do right. or what did not go well, or what did not go as planned. Like, I'm pretty sure in your mothering journey that your good outweighs your flaws and your mistakes. And most of us moms, we don't intentionally set out to hurt our children. Like, it's really because of our brokenness and it's also because of bad patterns. Sometimes it's because how we were raised that we really find ourselves in error in parenting. And as a parent and as a believer, I have to realize that God's grace is sufficient even for my flaws and my mistakes in parenting. And not only that, like when I've prayed and I've asked God to forgive me for this or that He's forgiven me. And so what I want you to realize is that you can't keep holding on to what you cannot change. Number 2, dig deep and find your why. Why are you still holding on to this? This requires reflection. It requires honesty. And some of you may even need to seek counseling. Like if you can't figure it out on your own, like it's okay to go and get counseling. I am in counseling right now. Just restarted counseling with a new counselor because I'm trying to let this go. I'm trying to be at peace and really forgive myself for all that happened as it relates to my marriage, as it relates to my parenting. And so I'm back in counseling and I'm ready to continue to do this last bit of work with these issues because for me, it's like I'm holding on to this because it seems too painful to let go. Like I want to let it go, but like I want to let it go once I fix it and I can't fix it. I can't fix anything that's in the past. So that's number 2. Number 3, recognize your need for peace. God wants us to live peaceably among all men. So don't you think that God wants you to have peace within yourself? Like, stop holding yourself captive. Like, I'm talking to myself too. Like, stop holding yourself captive. Like, holding on to whatever it is like blocking our creativity. All that stuff from the past that we're holding on to, that I'm holding on to, it's like taking up valuable space in our heart and our mind and in our spirit. And it's just time to let it go. It's just time for me to let it go. It's time for you to let it go and be at peace. Number 4, plan the exit strategy, the letting go. First and foremost, we have to forgive ourselves, Mom. Like, we cannot continue to walk around feeling this way. Like, forgive yourself for what was and what happened. Forgive yourself for what you could control. Forgive yourself for what you couldn't control. You can't change it. Like, we can forgive everybody else. We say, God, forgive me for I have sinned, or forgive me, I did this, I won't do that again. And guess what? God forgives us. But here we are. God has already forgiven us. The word says that he doesn't remember it as far as the east is from the west. But still, we're still holding ourselves in contempt. Forgive yourself, Mom, and let it go. And then some other ways to let it go are you can write a letter to your pain. Write a letter to that experience. Write a letter to your younger self. My previous podcast guest, Jennifer Green, she has a blog called Daring Courageously. Y'all need to listen to her episode that we had and follow her blog. She is an excellent writer. Like, you will resonate with her writing. But she talks about a letter that she wrote to her pain. And she told her pain where to go. And she told her pain why it had to leave. And I just thought it was so incredible. Like, I'm reading the letter, like resonating with all of that. Like, yes, you gotta go. I don't want to carry you anymore. Like, one of the things she said was like, pain, you're too heavy for me. So think about writing a letter to your pain, to that experience, to your younger self. The other thing you can do is you can put a message in a bottle or in a balloon and release it. One of my other podcast guests, Janice, she had an event about a year or so ago for women and talking about how resilient women are. And at the end of the event, the women were challenged to release something. Like whatever that thing was that was holding them captive, holding them down, paralyzing them, making them stagnant. Like they had to write it down. Sometimes it was a word, sometimes it was an experience, sometimes it was a person, but whatever it was, they had to write it on the balloon. They all took their balloons outside. I think she prayed over everything and they released it. Like, how refreshing is that? To just seeing that balloon going up in the air, knowing that I'm letting this go. I'm releasing it. I don't want to carry it anymore. I don't want this thing to hinder me or hold me back anymore. So that's something else you can consider. Have a conversation with the other person. If that's a possibility, have a conversation with the other person. I mentioned earlier in this episode that I was struggling with whether I needed to give my children an apology. And I did acknowledge to them that at some point I was not the best mom. And I say this because an apology is not always necessary. Sometimes you may just need to acknowledge your mistakes and grow from them, learn from them. Like, actions speak louder than words. So it's like, let the person see that you've grown and you've learned and that you're not going to return to that behavior anymore. And as I said previously, sometimes you just may need to go sit on the couch. Like you may need a counseling session to talk it out, to plan your exit strategy, to figure out how you're really going to let this thing go. And number 5, say goodbye and embrace peace. I think it's so important that you pray and thank God for the room that after you have done those 4 steps, you just pray and thank God for the room you have now made in your heart and your mind. And get excited for the space you have made to receive more, the space you've made to receive more peace, more love, more compassion, more goodness, more grace, more creativity. Get excited about how you will receive new friendships, new relationships, how things will just be better because you have let this thing go and you have welcomed and you've made space. Basically, you've made space. And so for me, I truly believe that my authentic self will begin to really emerge. Like I feel like all of this that I'm carrying from my motherhood and from my marriage, 10 years, it's been at least 10 years, y'all. Like, I need to get rid of this stuff. It's blocking the fruits of the Spirit. It's blocking the goodness of God. It's blocking the purpose, me walking in my purpose. It's got to go so that I can begin to really walk in that which God has called me to walk in without feeling like I'm not worthy, without feeling like I'm not good enough because I said this to my children when they were 10. No, 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 no. Say goodbye and embrace peace. And so let me recap. My first tip is stop holding on to what you can't change. Second tip, dig deep and find your why. Why are you still holding this? My third tip is recognize your need for peace. My fourth tip is plan the exit strategy, the letting go. And lastly is say goodbye and embrace peace. And so part of the reason why I started this podcast, Moms, is so that we all will have a safe place to share how we have been navigating through motherhood or how we have navigated motherhood, because we're all in different spaces of our motherhood journey. Like I said, right now, I'm an empty nester, but I have so much to share about my motherhood journey when my children were younger that, like I said, I never articulated. I have never discussed. And I know that as I begin to pull back those layers and really let go, I know that my episodes to come will be shared from a more heartfelt place. I know that it will connect me with more moms that are either in the situation currently that I'm describing or moms that have experienced that and need to find their own hope, healing, and freedom in my own story. And that's why I am committed to getting free. I'm getting committed to getting free so that I can be available to show up and serve and connect with you all. That's it. And so, we're here navigating this motherhood journey. It looks different for each of us. However, our feelings are often the same. Like we often feel the same feelings as mothers. This is also the space where we moms are reminded that we should not mom alone. Like I just explained a little bit about like how I was going through one of the most difficult transitions of my life, like basically alone, like not having, my mom, my grandmother, or any woman close to me, like really walking closely with me. And so that is really how I started really connecting with women. It's like probably in the end of 2012, the beginning of 2013, like God gave me this vision for strength and beauty. And it was me connecting with women in their own transition of separation and divorce. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, God, what? Like, I don't even like women. Like, they're the cause of my marriage dissolving. Like, you want me to do what? But how many know that I'm so grateful that God has healed my heart, and I have such a compassion and a care and concern for women just like me, moms just like me. And so here I am a few years later, and he gave me this vision for the Mom Still Standing podcast, because like I said, I am the mom that's still standing. And so we cannot mom alone. Like we need each other. We need each other's strength. We need each other's encouragement. We need to have fun together. Like it's not just a sob story all the time. Like we need to have fun together, We need each other to listen. That's very important, to just listen to another mom. And we need helping hands. We just need somebody to just come over and just be like, girl, I got it. Like go sit in the living room. I'll take care of this for you, or I'll pick up your kids, or do you need anything from the grocery store? We just need to be more well connected, especially when we are going through difficulties in our motherhood journey. And so I just ask y'all to just stay tuned. I'm going to be sharing more, and just want you to know, mom friends, that this episode was for me, but as much as it was for me, it's also for you. And so if you gleaned anything from this episode, I just ask you to please write me a review. Better yet, how about you post and tag me on Instagram or Facebook with your comments? I would really like to hear your takeaways from this episode and how it may have resonated with you, and maybe how you even found yourself in some of the things that I said. You can find me on Instagram at Mom Still Standing. That's moms with an S, still standing. And on Facebook, you can find me as Danielle Lewis. So I thank you all very much for listening, and please share my podcast with other moms that may need to be encouraged and inspired and supported in their own motherhood journey. Much love. Peace. Thank you, moms, for tuning into this week's episode of the Mom Still Standing podcast. Make sure you head over to iTunes and subscribe. If you found this episode to be informative and encouraging, please write a review so that we can continue to empower moms everywhere. In the meantime, remember, connected moms don't mom alone.